about influencing the heart of your children.
我要来复习一下我们如何影响我们孩子的内心。
The first one is modeling.
第一个是要做榜样。
Second, open communication.
第二个是要开放的沟通。
And the third one is time.
第三个是时间。
This morning, we will talk about developing relationship, intimacy.
今天早上我们要来讲建立关系，就是跟孩子的亲密度。
The closer the relationship, the greater the influence.
当我们的关系越近，那个影响就越大。
The Bible tells us, "Do not be deceived, bad company corrupts good morals."
圣经告诉我们说，人不要自欺，滥交是败坏善行。
Many parents don't realize your children wants to be influenced.
很多父母亲并不知道说你的孩子希望可以被影响。
But who is influencing your children?
但是是谁影响你的孩子呢？
Whether you like it or not, your children are being influenced.
不管你喜不喜欢，你的孩子正在受着许多影响。
Your children are being influenced whether they know it or they don't know it.
你的孩子不管他知道或不知道，他都正在受着影响。
The closer children are to their parents, the less they are influenced by their friends and vice versa.
孩子们与他们的父母越亲近，他们受同侪的影响越小。
Psychologists have told us
心理学家告诉我们说，
the greatest influence in the lives of your children
在你孩子心中最大的影响
next to the parents
仅次于父母亲的那个影响
are their friends.
是他们的朋友。
When your children are small, they are influenced by you.
当你的孩子还小的时候，他们是受你的影响。
When they grow older and they are not close to you, they are influenced by their friends.
当他们渐渐的长大，他们跟你不够亲近的时候，他们会受他们的朋友影响。
And that is why you have fraternities, you have gangs, you have peer pressure.
这就是为什么他们在面对很多的像帮派啊，或者像这些同侪的压力。
How can you explain children or teenagers will join a gang and do foolish things?
你要如何解释青少年他们会愿意加入帮派去做些愚蠢的事？
The reason they do foolish things is to be accepted by their friends.
他们之所以愿意做这些愚蠢的事，是因为他们渴望可以得着他们朋友的接纳。
Because our children are looking for intimacy, relationship.
因为他们正在寻求一个亲密的关系。
If they are not close to parents, they will get their relationship from their friends.
如果他们与父母的关系不够亲近，他们就会受朋友的影响。
There is a certain gang in the States.
在美国有一个特别的一个帮派，
You have to kill somebody in order to join the gang.
如果你要加入这个帮派，你要先杀一个人。
Now you'll be thinking, why will people kill somebody to join the gang?
你会想说，为什么会有人想要去杀一个人，以致他可以加入这个帮派？
To be accepted.
因为他们希望被接纳。
在台湾 do you have fraternities, sororities?
在台湾你们有没有这种美国大学里面的弟兄会、姐妹会？
台湾有没有？感谢主，你们没有。In the Philippines, there are fraternities, sororities.
在美国有这种在菲律宾有这种弟兄会、姐妹会。
In college, you have fraternities.
在大学里面会有这种弟兄会。
Example, Alpha Sigma.
举个例子叫 Alpha Sigma。
Sororities. You have all kinds of fraternities, sororities.
有各种为了不同原因而存在的弟兄会。
And to be accepted, you have to do crazy things.
如果你要被这一群这种弟兄会、姐妹会接纳的话，你要做一些疯狂的事。
I know of one group you have to run naked across the school.
如果我知道有一个弟兄会，就是如果你 校园里面多好。
Another one, you have to steal something from a classmate.
有另外一个组织呢，就是如果你要加入，你要偷你同学的一样东西。
Why do they do that?
那为什么他们要这样做呢？
To be accepted.
希望可以被接纳。
Your children are being influenced by their friends, whether you like it or you don't like it.
不管你喜欢或是不喜欢，你的儿女受着他们朋友的影响。
But if the children are close to their parents, the closer children are to their parents, the less they are influenced by their peers.
如果你的孩子们跟他们的父母亲越亲近，他们受同侪的影响就会越小。
So I advise one of the most important things to influence the hearts of your children is to be their friends.
对，如果我要给各位一个劝告，如何能够更深的影响你的孩子，就是要做他们的朋友。
Develop relationship.
要发展跟他们建立跟他们的关系。
假如没有关系 if you don't have relationship, they will oppose your values if they don't like it.
如果他们跟你没有亲近的关系，他们不喜欢你，他们会反对你的价值观。
They will oppose you not when they are small.
他们会反对你，不是在他们小的时候，
When they grow up.
而是他们长大之后。
This is the style of Jesus.
这是耶稣他做的方式。
He appointed the 12 so they would be with him.
他就设立12个人，要他们常和自己同在。
为什么常和跟主耶稣一起同在 ？How come always together? Relationship.
为什么他们能够常和耶稣同在？那是因为他们有关系。
不是。为什么要跟主耶稣一起同在？因为主耶稣要培养他们的关系。You spend time to develop relationship.
因为你们需要花时间才能够建立关系。
So how do you develop relationship?
所以你们要怎么样才能建立关系呢？
Number one, be intentional.
第一个是要刻意的。
It doesn't happen by accident.
它不会偶然的出现。
Especially fathers, you need to be intentional.
特别是做父亲呢，你更是要刻意去建立关系。
Because mothers are usually with their children.
因为妈妈们常常会跟孩子们在一起。
But fathers are always busy.
但是当父亲的常常都非常忙碌。
Number two, you must communicate by listening.
第二个，你要透过聆听来沟通。
Especially fathers.
特别是当父亲，
Listen.
要聆听。
So tell your neighbor, listen.
请告诉你的朋友、邻桌的朋友说要聆听。
Listen. And then date your children individually. From time to time, check them out, just the two of you.
接下来你要单独跟你的孩子们约会，要1对1的，要带他们出去。
Listen to them, spend time with them.
要听他们，要花时间给他们。
Know what they like.
接下来是要知道他们喜欢什么。
Do you know what your children like, what they don't like?
你知道你的孩子喜欢什么，不喜欢什么吗？
When my children were growing up, they liked to play games, computer games.
当我的孩子在长大的过程中，他们喜欢玩电脑游戏。
So I learned to play games.
我也去学怎么玩这些电脑游戏。
But I taught them only play games for 30 minutes.
但是我教他们说，只能够玩30分钟。
I played with them.
我会跟他们一起玩。
After playing with them, we play basketball.
我们在跟他们玩了之后呢，我们一起去打篮球。
After basketball, we go swimming.
打完篮球之后呢，我们去游泳。
You see, you have to think of ways to develop relationship.
你要来思想说，我怎么样能够跟他们建立关系？
Do things together.
要一起来做一些事情。
So in our family, we do a lot of things together.
在我们家里面呢，我们做了非常多的事情。
We eat together.
我们一起吃饭。
We serve together.
我们一起服侍。
We exercise together.
我们一起运动。
We go on vacation together.
我们一起出去度假。
It's always together.
我们总是在一起。
Positive words.
积极的话语。
Somebody once said, for every correction, you must have 10 positive words.
有人说，你每纠正一次，你要先说10句建造性的话。
Every negative comment,
每一个负面的建议
think of more positive comments.
你要说更多积极正面的这样的意见。
And let them know you love them.
你要让他们知道你爱他们。
Not just love them.
不只是爱他们，
You like them.
你喜欢他们。
How many of you courted? How many of you are married now?
现在有多少人在我们当中是已经结婚了、离婚
结婚
了？
了，结婚了。
请举手。
Okay. How did you marry your wife?
你怎么娶你的妻子的呢？
How?
你怎么样娶？
Did you command her or did you court her?
你是命令她嫁给你呢，还是你去追求她？
追求，当然追求她。You courted her, 对不对？
你追求她，对吗？
How come you are no longer courting your wife now and your children?
那你为什么现在不再继续追求你的妻子跟你的孩子？
I am still courting my children.
我还继续跟我的孩子们约会，
I'm still courting my wife.
我还在继续跟我的妻子约会。
到现在，我还追求我的太太。Honey baby, I'm still courting. So, relationship has to be ongoing.
关系是要持续不断的往前进。
Lastly, you need to resolve conflict.
最后一个是你必须要解决冲突。
中国的社会的 Chinese culture， 假如有冲突，if you have conflict, many Chinese do not like to confront.
在我们中国人的文化里面，当我们面对冲突的时候，我们不喜欢去解决、去面对。
We don't want to face each other. We put it under the rug.
我们不喜欢面对面解决问题，我们想要把它放在桌子底下。
Or we pretend,没有问题。
对，我们假装没事。
We think by not talking about it, the problem will go away.
我们想说，只要不谈起它，这个问题就会解决了，不见了。
Is that true?
这是真的吗？
Is that a Chinese culture or not?
这是中国人的文化吗？还是不是？
American culture is different.
美国人的文化是不一样的。
If there's a problem, they talk to each other.
如果有问题，他们会找对方来理论。
Chinese culture, if you have a problem with your boss, a problem with your wife, a problem with your friend, you just kind of.
在中国人文化里面，如果你跟你的上司、跟你的妻子、跟你朋友有冲突，我们都会保持缄默。
那个不好。You need to develop intimacy.
你需要建立亲密的关系，
Resolve conflict.
要解决冲突。
How do you resolve conflict?
你要怎么样来解决冲突呢？
Your attitude should be conflict is common to all families.
你对冲突的态度是，你必须要了解冲突是很平常的，
Do not be afraid of conflict.
不要对冲突感到恐惧。
My wife and I have conflicts.
我太太跟我常有冲突，
Look at my wife, she's different.
看看我的妻子，她是很不一样。
两个人不一样，一定会有冲突的，对不对？意见也不一样，对不对？ So don't be afraid of conflict.
不要害怕冲突，因为
Conflict is inevitable.
冲突是不可避免的。
一定会有冲突 for sure. Number 3, conflict can become a blessing.
第三，冲突可以变成祝福。
Many times we don't realize conflict can become a blessing.
很多时候我们并没有意识到说冲突会化成祝福。
Example,
举个例子，
my wife and I are different culturally.
我跟我妻子在文化上有很大的不同，
Her background,
她的背景呢，
her education,
她所受的教育，
her parents,
她的父母亲的教导，
her experience,
她的经验
different.
都不一样。
So when there is something that happens,
当有一件事情发生的时候，
my opinion and her opinion are different.
常常我的意见跟她意见是不同的。
But I discover my opinion may not always be the best.
但我发现我的意见不常常都是最好的。
And I discover her opinion may not always be the best.
她也发现说她的意见也不常常都是最好的。
But when we discuss together,
当我们一起讨论的时候呢，
we come up with a better opinion.
我们就得出一个更好的结论。
Because conflict can be a blessing.
因为冲突可以化成祝福。
Conflict when resolved leads to greater intimacy.
当冲突得到解决的时候，会带来更多的、更深的亲密。
So turn to your neighbor, tell your neighbor, conflict is good.
你要对你的朋友说，冲突是好的，
Do not be afraid
们要关注问题，
Do not attack the person.
不要对人起攻击，
Focus on the problem.
要专注在问题上。
For example,
举个例子，
if my wife is usually late,
我的太太比如说我的太太有时候会迟到。
先生，你知道我要小心我太太在这里。Then, is it true usually the women are usually late than men?
在座的男士们，你们会不会同意说，通常女士们会需要花多一点的时间，也是会迟到，
对吗？If my brother and I have problem on being on time.
如果我跟我太太有一个要不要准时到达的这个问题，
I don't attack her personally.
我不会攻击她的人，
I'm very careful. I don't say you are always late.
我会很小心说，我不会说你总是迟到，
I will say, what can we do to be on time?
我会说我们要怎么样做才能够准时呢？
So you discuss.
你们要一起来讨论，
Listen before you speak.
要在说之前先聆听，
Listen first.
要先来听，
To resolve conflict.
要在解决冲突时要先聆听，
Avoid jumping to conclusions.
要避免直接跳到结论。
Now, when you resolve conflict, secret, listen.
要解决冲突的秘诀就是要聆听。
Avoid losing your temper.
要避免来发脾气，
So your tone is very important.
所以你的音调是很重要的。
My tone is always like this.
如果像我的音调是这
I
样的，
don't shout.
我不大声的喊叫，
See? It's better.
这样会比较好。
Always be ready to forgive.
总是要随时预备好来原谅，
And then ask for forgiveness.
之后是要来恳求原谅，
And then always love them.
要无条件爱他们，
Make your children know if there's conflict, they can speak up.
要让你的孩子知道，如果你跟他有冲突，他们可以来告诉你。
Let your children know it's okay to disagree.
让你的孩子知道说，你不同意父母亲的意见是可以的，
But let us discuss.
但是要让我们一起来讨论。
So, to touch the heart of your children, develop a relationship.
要来触摸到你孩子的心灵，你必须要建立跟他们的关系。
The closer the relationship, the greater is your influence.
你跟他的关系越亲近，你对他的影响力就越大。
The less is the influence of their friends.
那他们的同学、同才对他的影响力就会变小。
The closer the relationship between your children and God,
当你的孩子跟上帝的关系越亲近的时候，
the less is their friends able to influence them.
那他们同才的影响力就会越小。
I want to hear your testimony from my son.
我要让各位来听听我儿子的见证。
Can you show a picture of my family? It's in the next slide. Here we go. There you go. So you met Jenny. You met Alana. Alana's the girl that my daughter that Jenny talked about, and I have boy Caleb. He's 8 years old, and son Ethan, and another boy on the way. So please continue to pray for my wife. She's due sometime this week. I was with my son yesterday, Caleb, and I asked him, Caleb, why do you obey Daddy? And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, because of Spain. And so I said, I was hoping for a different answer, by the way. But I said, so if Daddy were to tell you that he would never, ever spank you again, would you still obey him? He looked at me and he smiled and he said, I don't know. It's very truthful. Now, as I thought about it, many of us, when our children are young and they're under our protection, under our umbrella, it's easy for us to tell them what to do. But as they grow older and as they get away from our umbrella protection, I think that's where the real challenge is. And I thank the Lord for my parents. They were great role models. They taught us a lot of things, very intentional. But of all the things that they taught us, what really made an impact in my life, and I believe the impact of my brothers and sisters as well, was they modeled to us what it meant to have a relationship with the Lord. And each of us, at our own time, eventually fell in love with the Lord. For me, it was about 12, 13 years old. I understood what it meant to follow Christ. I understood that I was a sinner and I needed Him, and I made a commitment to follow Him. And giving my life to the Lord gave me a sense of identity and security that helped me all throughout my life up to now. We're in the world all the time. I grew up, I played basketball for my high school, and then I went to Ateneo and was able to play basketball for Ateneo. Now Ateneo, Kurt Long was over there. Somewhere, he was over there, but there he is. And Kurt won four out of the 5 championships. So the Ateneo won 5 years in a row, and Kurt was part of 4 of that. When I was playing for Ateneo, we lost 6 in a row. So the next year, my team, we won the championship the year I left, actually. And so my teammate said, Paul, you should have left earlier, but I love my teammates and we had a great time playing basketball. But as a basketball player in college, I was homeschooled for 3 years. I went to a school called Faith Academy for high school. Then I was in college, exposed to the real world, playing basketball. And as a basketball player, there's a lot of temptations that come. And if it wasn't for the fact that God had grabbed a hold of my life at a young age, I could have made many decisions that would have altered the trajectory of my life. But it was only because God had grabbed a hold of my life, I understood what it meant to follow Him, and I gave my life to Him, that He protected me. I remember one of the things that was a little bit difficult at times was I didn't have a girlfriend in college. And my teammates thought that was weird. They said, Paul doesn't have a girlfriend because he doesn't like girls. He likes boys. And you know, when you hear stuff like that, there's times I felt like, well, I should just try to get a girlfriend then, and you know, prove them wrong. But by God's grace, because I was secure in who I was in Him, I knew who I was. I was a child of God. I knew I was special. I knew that God loves me. I know He has a plan for me. It didn't really matter